So this whole new concept of a flipped classroom is probably new to most teachers as it is to most students. So, like we talked about in class, it's basically your homework assignment is to watch the lecture, and instead of doing homework, we're going to do our homework in class so that you'll have me there to ask questions and guide you through the process. So it's very important that you watch the lectures. The lectures aren't too long. This one is actually meant to be pretty short, but because it's our very first video, I'm going to make sure to walk you through it to show you what you expect. Before any of the lectures though, in order to get full credits on your notes, you need to make sure that you put down all of the vocabulary. So go into your book, go into section 1.1, and start looking at the highlighted words and finding the definition. That would be the very first part of any of your lectures. Sometimes I'll shorten those words, but if I don't say anything in class, assume all of them are part of the assignment. So go ahead and feel free to pause this video anytime to start the vocabulary. We're going to go ahead and take notes on this. And in order for you to have complete notes, you need to have everything I've written down, plus the example problems I'm going to give you at the very end. Now, a lot of you have already taken classes from me, so you know exactly how I like the notes. If not, just write it and I'll let you know in class what you could do to help maximize your note-taking ability. Number one thing that you need to remember is not to be writing while I'm talking. It's very difficult for people to completely multitask, so what you need to do is you need to pause the video and you need to write what's on the board. And then you can play it and I'll explain. And every time I put on a new board up, you're going to pause it and write down the notes. Feel free to let me know, email me or text me if you have any questions. So right now, go ahead and pause the video and write down the next chapter is section 1.1, expressions and formula. This is an introduction to expression. We're going to go through it very quick. It's very similar in what you've seen in Algebra 1. But what's very important is for you to realize the order of operations. You need to have that down by memory because I'm going to expect you to know it. So please make sure that you understand. Now, the order of operations, there's a lot of ways to memorize it, so feel free to surf the internet. I won't feel hurt if you decide to go to YouTube or to Google it to find more ways to either memorize it or to elaborate. The whole point is for you to understand the topic. Okay, so it's not going to hurt my feelings if you go ahead and find more resources. So, the order of operations is broken down into 4 parts. The first one is parentheses, powers, multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction is last. Okay? Parentheses means anything in little parentheses. That's what you absolutely have to do first in an equation. That's what you take care of. So it's not just solving a problem from left to right, but it's looking for parentheses first. It's your very first step. Next, you're going to look for powers, okay? So that's anything with a power sign right here. So if you see 2 squared, 3 squared, anything with a power goes second. Next, you do from left to right any multiplication and division. And then you finish with addition and subtraction. If you do not follow the order of operations and if you don't put the parentheses correctly into your calculator, you might be thinking that you're pushing the numbers incorrectly, but in fact you're getting the wrong answer. So please make sure to pay attention to detail about the order of operations. Next, we're going to polynomials. So this is basically for you to figure out, to be able to identify problems. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and write down what's on the board and then replay in order for me to explain to you. Polynomial, the term poly just means many, so it's many monomials. A monomial is basically any term with a variable. A variable is, again, is a letter. It should be in your vocabulary. A variable is a letter that represents a number, so it's an unknown, basically. So this would be a monomial, 2x. So when we put more than one monomial together, we get what is called a polynomial, which is multiple monomials. Okay? Each one of these monomials that's put together by addition or subtraction, this is called a term. So 2 terms has a term binomial. Okay? So 3 terms would then in fact mean trinomial. So this has 3 terms all connected together by a plus or minus. Now this power sign, this is called a power. A number in front, so let's say this one, anything in front of a variable is called the coefficient. Now, for example, this does not have a number in front of it. We assume the coefficient is 1. So the number in front of the variable is a coefficient, so this coefficient is 2. This one would be none. Now this one has no variables. It has no letters attached to it. So therefore this is called a constant. Okay, constant has no variables attached, it's just a number. That means no matter what the unknowns are, it'll always stay the same because it's not affected by the constant. We have two examples. The first one, like most of your assignments will have, is basically just filling in and solving. They'll give you an equation, they'll give you what things stand for, and then you need to solve things. So feel free to go ahead and pause this video and go ahead and write down the example problem. So here they give us the equation s minus t, parentheses s squared minus t. And they give us s for 2 and t for 3. So let's start by filling in the variables. S is 2, so this is going to be 2 minus 3. 3 squared, we'll put another parentheses in there, minus, which is a t, which is 3. Sorry. The s is in fact a 2. And then minus 3. Okay. The reason I put that parentheses in there is just in case it's more than one number or anything, you know that it's grouped together. So what is our first step? Well, according to your order of operations, is anything in parentheses. So we're going to ignore the outside and we're going to focus on the inside of the parentheses, which is right in here. Okay? Now in the parentheses, it's a whole nother world. So then you start over the order of operations. So in here, we're going to do the power first. So we're going to do 2 squared, which is 4, minus 3, and then we're going to bring this down. Once we do the power, then in here you keep doing it until the parentheses is eliminated, or at least put into one number. We have 2 minus 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Okay? Then we're going to do, before we subtract, because that's the last step, we're going to multiply and divide. So we have to do 3 times 1, which is again 3. So we do 2 minus 3, which then gives us negative 1. And that's our answer. Please make sure you're boxing your answers so I know exactly where it is. The equal sign with the arrows let me know that it's from one step to another and not necessarily an equal sign. Okay? Sorry. Now what you need to do is you need to go into your book on page 8, number 2. This is the problem that you're going to be doing. This is the one that you're going to put on your notes. Go ahead and have this solved and be ready to turn in with your notes tomorrow in class. So page 8, number 2, go ahead and pause this video, solve it, and when you're done, we'll do our last problem. So our last one is 8xy plus z cubed all over y squared plus 5. Now, don't let this confuse you. It does look like a scary problem. Please make sure you pause this and write the problem down before we start. But don't let this problem scare you. What you need to do is you need to just fill it in and treat like this like one problem and this like another. And then you can go ahead and divide it at the end. Okay, so basically we would put this in parentheses and divide it. So you treat the top as one parentheses and the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and fill it in. So we have 8, which is times x, it's 5, times y, plus z cubed. So negative 1 cubed all over y squared, which is negative 2 squared, plus 5. Okay? So let's start here. Okay, let's solve the top. Sorry. We're going to do multiplication and power first. So right here, I'm going to do negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 2. Two negatives, like in Algebra 1, makes a positive. So negative 1 times negative 1 gives me positive 2. But we have 3 of them, so times a negative 1, which is a negative 2. Negative 1. Let's go through that again. Here we go. Sorry. We're going to do negative 1 times negative 1, which is a positive 1. And then I times it by another negative, which makes it back to negative 1. Now, if you put this in your calculator, make sure that you include the parentheses. Because if you don't put the parentheses to the power of 3, then that negative is not included in the cubed. So make sure you keep that in mind, or else you'll get the wrong answer. So this answer would be negative 1, and then we also do multiplication. Remember, addition and subtraction is last. Okay? 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times negative 2, which would be negative 80. All over. Again, this is a whole nother world down here. We're going to do it again. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Okay? Two negatives make a positive. Plus 5. Okay? Negative 80 plus negative 1 is negative 81. Okay? 4 plus 5 is 9. Now our final step is to divide both of these. Okay? We bring the worlds together. Negative 81 divided by 9. If it's not a whole number, go ahead and just simplify it. But this should be a whole number, which is 9 times 9 is 81. So this would be a negative 2. Sorry. So this would be a negative 9. Sorry. Okay, 81 divided by 9 is 9. With that negative would be negative 9. And again, we box it. So for your final problem, you're going to go ahead and do page 8, number 4. So you're going to have 2 problems that we haven't gone through that we're going to go through in class and in your base groups tomorrow. So page 8, number 4, and bring it to class. I'll see you then.